Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today we are here in Granite Falls, Minnesota at the Fagan Fighters World War II Museum, and we're here with Evan Fagan.
Yep.
So Evan, thanks for having us here today.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Man, I'll tell you what a treat you're in for. We're doing several reviews of aircraft, but we thought, since this is a World War II museum, that this would be the best place to start. So, Evan, behind us, we have a recreation of Utah Beach,
right,
from the Normandy invasion. And so let's just start by telling us about the things that we see out here.
Well, first of all, the scene here is really kind of how our whole museum started. And what I mean by that is my grandpa Ray Fagan was in the 4th Infantry Division, which landed on the first wave of the Utah
And this
beach.
was the beach he landed on.
This is the beach he landed on. And our scene over here with the Higgins boat with the landing craft tongue depicts my grandpa's, the 4th Infantry Division, and my grandpa on the tongue coming off of there.
In fact, he's the first one coming out.
Yep, he's the first one. And we don't know where he was, but for the display we have him on there in the first person coming off.
And every soldier on there, their face is taken from an actual person,
right,
who was at the Normandy landing. Okay.
No, and the sculptor who did that is from Columbus, Nebraska, and he's also done some other bronze sculptures down at the Branson World War II Museum down there. But anyway, the scene here depicts the landing on Utah Beach, which was what my grandpa was in on the first wave, and the sand on the beach here is actual Utah Beach sand. My folks were over at Normandy Beach when they were doing some work on their museum there and doing some excavations, and my folks talked to them and asked them, well, what are you doing with all this sand? And they said, well, nothing. And so they put it in some 55-gallon drums and shipped it back over here. So this is
actual
sand.
Real sand from Utah Beach.
Yep, and the tripod on this 30 caliber machine gun was actually used on the invasion day as well. The gun is a replica. We do have the real 30 caliber machine gun.
Okay.
Obviously, it's not sitting out there, but the tripod is real and was used
from there.
Yep.
Man, you've gone to great lengths to put in authentic materials here.
Well, my folks worked hard at making sure things looked just right, and the boat itself is not a Higgins boat, but it's built the size of a Higgins boat. It's actually our bathroom, but the landing craft tongue is a real piece, and it was actually used on the Guadalcanal landings.
Okay.
So it's actually got battle history, but for this scene we used it to put on our boat, which is actually houses our bathroom. So
it's nice camouflage.
Yeah, it works out pretty good.
All right. This is, if you get a chance to come down here, and we'll list the contact information for the museum down below in our description, so you can call and check out times to come here. They have family memberships, individual members, and things like that, but it is really incredible, and you're going to see some of those things today. So what a beautiful recreation.
Well, thank you.
I can't believe that's Utah sand.
I know it. It's hard to believe.
Rob and I had to touch it earlier, just to touch it.
You got to do it.
What a lot of history. What a sacrifice.
Right, American history for sure.
Boy.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of history, we're going to step over next to a M4 Sherman tank.
Yep.
Wow. Now talk about an iconic tank from World War II.
Right.
And this is, by the way, fully operational?
It is fully operational, obviously, minus the gun itself.
Right. But the turret turns, it runs.
Turret turns, it runs. My folks bought this from a individual, and we brought it up to Minnesota and did a cosmetic restoration. But it does run. It's got a radial engine in it, which is similar to the aircraft engine.
Okay.
And we brought it up here and did the restoration cosmetically to it. And then we did that down in our shop downtown, and then we drove it from downtown Granite Falls out to the museum. And so we drove it out here, and it actually runs and operates very well.
So top speed would be about 25 to 30 miles per hour. I can't imagine, you've ridden in it, but I would think it would sort of be rather bone jarring.
Oh, I'm sure it is in the battlefield and being used for what it was intended. I'm sure it was very bone jarring and blunt.
And they would have had, I'm assuming that the rubber tracks have been inserted because it's being driven on pavement for the most part.
Right.
I'm assuming in battle that would have been an all metal track, probably.
I believe they had both types.
Both types.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. There's no doubt when the infantry was able to walk behind these tanks instead of standing in front of them, it was a relief to them. They provided a lot of support for a lot of needed battles for sure.
So let's talk about the tank itself here. So on the front, it's first of all, it's deeper than you would imagine.
Right.
Because you kind of look at this surface right here and say, well, this is the bottom, but the bottom is a good maybe 2.5 feet lower.
Right.
So at the opening here, would this be one of the a gunner, or would this be a driver right here?
So like there was a gunner over on the left side, then there was a driver, and then the tank commander was up on top.
Okay.
And there was a loader that sat back around the corner. If you ever watch the show Fury,
Yeah.
you kind of see the inside of the crew and kind of how they were set up.
Yeah, because it's a 5-person crew,
I think so, yes.
which is just like, to me,
Yep.
we were really cramped. So you had the captain on top, you had the another machine gunner.
Yep, you had the guy, the tank commander was up on top manning the 50 cal also. They're the guys.
Oh, he's manning the 50 cal.
Yep.
Okay, so tank commander on top, driver, typically on, I don't know what side they'd be on, but one of these two sides.
Your gunner, your driver, and then your loader's back in the corner.
Okay.
Loading the cannon shells. And and inside they had to have smelled like diesel. I mean, it had to have been quite the...
It would be a really, not a pleasant drive.
No, not a pleasant drive. They were in pretty rough conditions for sure.
And there wasn't anything like air conditioning or...
No, I mean
there's a little airflow. I think these are air vents.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're air vents, yeah. No, and definitely not a comfortable ride for sure.
All right. So these would be, on top would be a 50 cal.
Yep.
And these would be, I think,
These are
30-06.
Yeah, I believe these are 30s, yep.
Okay. Look at the size of the shells that they would
Right.
load. Oh my gosh. And then one person would be responsible for loading that.
And they were in the back corner.
All right.
Yep.
Now, in terms of, I'm assuming this would be a camouflage net that they would throw over if they were just sitting.
Yep, I'm sure when they were sitting back in like a hedgerow or something, they could put some netting over and stuff like that.
Hey, massive tow hooks in the front.
Yep.
Okay. And then, of course, you had your lights, you have the hatches on top. And then it's interesting under here, there's not a lot of room from the top track
No.
to the, I mean, you're talking like this much, like a 2-inch space. So,
Not a lot of room.
I mean, to me, I'm thinking mud clearance and dirt and derbies and stuff, but maybe.
Well,
maybe,
and like modern Caterpillar equipment now and farm implements with tracks, you have to keep the mud clear. So the crews would have to come in here with tile spades and get all the mud out of here. Otherwise, especially when it was colder, otherwise it would freeze up and you wouldn't be able to turn.
you won't be able to turn.
Yep.
Okay, so tank crews were busy. I mean,
Tank
if they had to
crews were
go through
busy.
money,
A
it
lot of
wasn't just
maintenance.
driving, they had to stop and clean those tracks.
Right, you had to get all the dirt and mud out of there, otherwise it could freeze up solid, or you could screw up your idlers by having them solid and not being able to move if there was too much clay or mud built up
sure.
on them. So you always had to keep them with a tile spade and clear them all out.
And nothing on this would be simple. I mean, it's all heavy.
Right.
I mean, if something comes off or happens, that's, man.
Yep.
I mean, I know they had basic equipment, but I'm guessing if a set of tracks came off or something, or an idler wheel broke, you'd either have to have a special group come out and fix these things, or, I mean, the crews that were in there wouldn't have had the equipment to fix something like that.
No, you wouldn't think so. I'm sure they had some wrenches to do some work on basic tracks and
Right.
stuff, but parts depots, I'm sure, had the idler wheels and things like that.
Okay, let's walk back here for a minute. Now, these are some of the supplies that we would see on an M4 in World War II. So, looks like we've got a pickaxe, but you got the handle and then the pick head separate, and then you've got another axe up here, and then must be ammunition and
Yep.
and or food or
Rations, probably.
rations.
So probably wouldn't have ammunition. Well, there's an ammo box up top.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some 50 cal.
So,
yeah, there's
my guess is soldiers would put anything that they could
Yeah.
on the back of these. So, including having it empty and just having other soldiers ride
Right.
as they were going the same direction. You got, of course, some jerry cans, both sides here. I don't know how much of the tank that would fill up, but it's quintessentially 5, 10, 15, 20 gallons worth of diesel.
Right.
So what type of diesel engine does this have? I think you said it was a radial engine.
It's got a radial engine in it, which is similar to which is like an airplane engine. All the cylinders are in a circle. 400 horse, and it's a Continental. I believe it said, 975 Continental 9-cylinder engine.
Okay, and where approximately is that located? Because your opening to crawl in the tank is in the back.
Right. So the engine is kind of right
Mid-mounted?
Kind of in this location here, and you can access some of it from inside there, obviously, but it's not all Shermans use the radial engines, and
Okay.
I can't tell you exactly the other model number of engines they used.
Okay.
But this one does have the radial, and that's a pretty cool engine for these to have because they're not commonly used in
the M4s?
vehicles. Yep.
Okay.
The top hatch was possibly the easiest to get in and out of. Maybe the back was
Okay.
used more. I don't know which
Now,
was commonly used the most.
To get up there, then there's no ladder.
No, you
just
literally
gotta
get up
put your
and
foot on the sides of the
Yep.
idler pulleys, or
you just grab onto something, grab onto a headlight cover and grab up the tracks and hop up top.
and just hop up.
Yep.
Okay, so the perspective up here, Evan, is quite different.
Right. Yep.
This is thank you for letting us get up out
Oh,
here.
absolutely. You bet.
Okay, so this was the first hatch we talked about, and this is where the driver sat.
Yep.
So, I mean, man, you have just a basic seat.
Right.
You have got a few you got like 2 foot pedals.
Yep. Decelerator and a brake, and then you have the
And then-
steering mechanisms,
Like
which are
like a Caterpillar.
Yep.
Like anything
like
with
the early
tracks.
cats. Yep.
Okay, so, and then his vision forward. How did he see out?
There's a hatch that you can look through.
Right here.
Yep. Yep.
Boy, that wasn't much,
There
was
was
it?
not much. No.
I mean, you think about peripheral vision, almost zero.
Right.
Then, up here where you're sitting, we have the largest turret, and this is where the commander would have been.
Sitting right in here. Yep.
All right, let me come around that side.
Okay.
Man, I mean, I can see why this is the easiest spot to get in, but so the first commander would sit up on this first,
Yep. And I'm
you're gonna
sure.
call that a stool?
Right. And I'm sure they had like a canvas pad on them at some point.
At
I'm
some
sure.
point, I'm assuming.
You
And
would
it's
think.
interesting because they're bolted to these boxes
Right.
that are just mounted in the wall. So it almost looks like there's another compartment you could put the seat in, or that was meant for storage. I don't know. But then right below him, there's another person,
Yep.
but his feet would be just about in his face.
Right. And that's actually the same guy's seat there. So if he was not sitting up here with his head above there, he'd be sitting down there. He'd slide that
That's
up, and
what
then
it was for.
Yep.
Okay. So the same person would use both seats,
Same person, both seats. This would be when his head's up, standing there.
right? And if you just down there,
Yep.
man, I tell you what, it is unreal. I just swiveled this thing.
Right.
That's unreal how nice and smooth
Yes.
that
On
rotates.
bearings. Yes. No, but they
Man.
would turn this based on the full 360 ability to shoot.
And that would be done just by holding the gun and moving it around.
Yep, that's right. Just holding the handle and moving it around.
Wow. The okay, now peering down a little bit more on the inside here. I'm trying to find the spot. Oh, okay. So the loader would have been just back here.
Back in the corner. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And if you
That-
watch the movie Fury, it kind of gives you a good inside idea
Okay.
of kind of what it was.
I mean, that's like you said, the smell.
Yeah, you can. Oh,
I
I
mean,
can
spending
imagine.
hours in here.
Right.
I mean, I don't think the life of a tank crew was ever measured to be one of the greatest in the military.
Right.
But man, even if you survive, just the smell every day
Right.
of dealing with that.
Yeah.
Wow. And no cushion rotting or suspension or air circulation. That is amazing. You can see some more of the tools back here from the top point of view. But man, it'd be interesting to see how actually high we are. But the top of this thing has got to be, what, 12 feet off the ground?
Yeah, it's tall. That's for
It's
sure.
really tall. I
Yeah.
can't imagine going through some of those ditches that they went through.
Right.
and having that thing nose and then back up again. And I mean, it's not like even that. They're not even seat belts in here,
Right.
right? I mean, there's no like
No.
real safety like here.
And they may have had lap belts, but I don't know. I can't tell you for sure.
Right. What a massive tank. It's so fun to be on the top here and take a look inside
Yeah, you bet.
that tank. Well, Evan, it's not often I get to sit on top of an M4 tank and just look around the view. But thank you so much for sharing the story of the Utah Beach and sharing us with some information about this M4 Sherman tank that played such a huge role in World War II. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, absolutely. You bet. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for watching.